The film begins in a Spanish city where a man named Manuel and his wife, Julia, are visiting Manuel's sister, Belen, for a New Year's celebration. During the visit, Manuel happily plays with his niece and observes the cat. After his niece falls asleep, Manuel says goodbye to Belen, saying he has to leave before morning. He also sends his regards to his brother-in-law, who is currently away on business. On the drive home, Manuel and Julia have an argument. Distracted by the argument, Julia, who is driving distractedly, causes a minor accident. Tragedy strikes when Julia dies in the accident. A year later, Manuel wakes up to a news report about the government imposing lockdowns in many areas after the discovery of a new virus called TSJ virus, a variant of rabies. The newscaster states that TSJ virus is far more dangerous than COVID-19 because infected individuals become extremely aggressive and attack others. However, Manuel didn't seem to care much. As he prepared to go out, Manuel listened to more information about the virus outbreak on the radio. He also noticed many ambulances speeding through the streets, making him curious about what was happening in the city. At the dock, Manuel met two women who wanted to buy a boat. While inspecting his boat, which had been used for a year, memories of Julia flooded back. Ultimately, Manuel decided not to sell the boat. On his way home, he stopped at a convenience store to buy instant noodles. But at that moment, he was startled to see someone who looked strikingly similar to Julia. The sight stunned him so much that he couldn't continue shopping. Back home, Manuel tried to cheer himself up by playing with his cat. He also video called Belen, who asked if he had sold the boat yet. Belen then shared some important news. Her husband's company had unexpectedly asked the family to move to the Canary Islands. Because the Canary Islands were quite far from Belen, she suggested Manuel go with her, believing it might be safer, especially with news reports indicating the virus was spreading to many cities. The next day, Manuel decided to go with Belen, hoping to leave behind the memories of Julia and start a new life. But upon arriving at the airport, he discovered all flights had been abruptly cancelled, causing passenger discontent and chaos. The situation escalated when an emergency alert appeared on everyone's phones. In a moment of tension, an angry passenger snatched a security officer's gun, brandishing it wildly, causing people to panic and flee the building. As Manuel tried to drive home, he got stuck in a massive traffic jam. As city residents poured into the streets after the emergency alert, Manuel learned on the radio that the government had begun a city lockdown. Fearing the situation would worsen like the chaos at the airport, Manuel decided to abandon his car and walk home. After nearly 5 hours of walking, he finally arrived back in his neighborhood, where he saw police officers struggling to subdue a resident infected with the TSJ virus. The next morning, Manuel received a call from his sister, Belen, who had safely arrived in the Canary Islands. Their flight was unaffected by the emergency alert as they took off just in time. Upon learning that the city had been locked down, Belen urged Manuel to stay indoors, saying that even one of Europe's largest cities had been completely quarantined. Clearly, the TSJ virus outbreak was no ordinary situation. When Manuel went online, he saw many videos showing infected people behaving frighteningly, almost like zombies, violently attacking others. Soon after, another emergency alert sounded throughout the city. This time it was a city-wide lockdown order indicating that the infection rate had reached a dangerous level. Realizing the lockdown was about to be fully implemented, Manuel rushed to the convenience store to stock up on food. But it was too late, almost everything had been bought up, including instant noodles, forcing him to grab whatever was left. Then Manuel went to the convenience store at the gas station to find more supplies. As he was about to leave, he witnessed a horrifying scene. A civilian infected with the virus was attacking a police officer. When Manuel tried to help, the infected person, acting like a zombie, turned to attack him. Luckily, the injured police officer managed to subdue the attacker and signaled Manuel to flee before more infected people appeared. Returning home, Manuel immediately searched the internet for survival tips during a zombie outbreak. He reinforced his house with various tools, including iron fences and padlocks, to ensure no infected people could get in. A few days later, the government announced to the neighborhood that all residents would be evacuated to the nearest quarantine center by bus. Anyone refusing to evacuate would be considered in violation of national security laws and face severe penalties. But despite the warning, Manuel resolutely refused to leave his house. 2 weeks later, almost all residents in the neighborhood had been evacuated, leaving Manuel the only one remaining. As food supplies began to dwindle, Manuel decided to explore the surrounding abandoned houses for more provisions. Manuel began breaking into houses throughout the neighborhood. However, most of the houses were empty, with almost no food left. Entering another house, Manuel was surprised to find an elderly woman named Gabriela still alive. Like him, Gabriella had stayed and hadn't evacuated. During their conversation, Manel recounted how he had searched many houses but found no food. Gabriella, however, seemed unconcerned, knowing the neighborhood well, and led Manel to a house still full of food. Manel's joy grew even greater when he found an off-road motorcycle, making it easier to explore other houses. To celebrate, Manel and Gabriella shared dinner, telling each other stories about their families. During their conversation, Manel mentioned how much he missed his wife, Julia, who had died in an accident a year earlier. That night, Manel returned home to feed his cat. While adjusting the radio, he accidentally caught a broadcast from someone saying they had a boat and were heading towards the Canary Islands. The next morning, Manel planned to take Gabriella with him because he didn't want to leave her alone. But when he arrived at her house, he was heartbroken to discover that Gabriella had passed away. As he left her house, Manel was unexpectedly attacked by a woman infected with the disease. Now a zombie, he struggled to fight back and eventually shot her with his fishing spear. Although he didn't know the woman, killing a human, even an infected one, still filled Manel with guilt and fear that he had committed a sin. Determined to escape the city, Manel rode his off-road motorcycle to the docks with his cat, hoping to find a boat to the Canary Islands. When he arrived at the quarantine center on the outskirts of the city, he found it completely deserted. Despite being the official evacuation center, the main road was blocked by an iron gate, so Manel had to detour through the forest. But in the forest, he was horrified to discover hundreds of zombies roaming around, and they began chasing him. When he reached the refugee camp, the number of zombies increased even more. Signs indicated that everyone there had also been infected. While fleeing, Manel crashed his car into a pile of zombie corpses. Damaging it, he tried to restart the engine, but it wouldn't start, forcing him to run for his life. Eventually, Manel reached the dock and locked the gate, temporarily holding back the zombies. But he faced another problem. All the boats, including his own, had disappeared. Looking around, Manel spotted a boat far from the harbor and swam towards it. Upon climbing aboard, he was horrified to discover a zombie baby inside. Quickly leaving, Manel found a small, still functioning boat nearby and steered it. He headed towards the coordinates he'd heard on the radio, hoping the other boat was still there. With no other options, Manel placed all his hope of survival on this journey. After a long sea voyage, Manel finally encountered a group of armed men. They took him to a larger ship. However, he quickly realized this wasn't the ship he'd heard about on the radio. The captain and crew appeared to be from a different country as they didn't speak Spanish. Luckily, there was a man named Victor who spoke Spanish and acted as an interpreter. Manel explained that he wanted to go to the Canary Islands because his sister said it was the safest place, where soldiers and medical personnel had established a safe haven from the zombie outbreak. But Victor said the ship was under repair and couldn't set sail until it was finished. That night, as Manel was preparing to sleep in a cabin, he saw another group of survivors being brought aboard. But the next morning, when he went to find food, Manel couldn't find them anymore. And he also noticed Victor had a fresh bruise near his eye. Suspicious, Manel questioned Victor about the group of survivors from the previous night. But Victor said he hadn't seen anyone board the ship. This only increased Manel's suspicion. Then the captain began asking Manel about important locations around the harbor. Manel mentioned a few places, but the captain was particularly interested in shops selling tools and equipment, perhaps to find spare parts for ship repairs. The ship eventually decided to move to a power station near the harbor. While the captain and some sailors left the ship, Manel, out of curiosity, sneaked deeper inside to explore his surroundings. He unexpectedly discovered two survivors bound. Manel managed to free one, but at that moment a crew member spotted them and shot at Manel. As the sailor prepared to attack again, Victor appeared and stopped him, ultimately killing the attacker. Victor then revealed a terrifying truth. This was no ordinary ship, it belonged to a Taliban group from Afghanistan. They weren't there to help people escape the zombie outbreak, but had other motives. Victor himself disliked being on this ship. Remembering Manel's mention of a helicopter at the hospital, Victor and the remaining survivor decided to escape in the small boat Manel had used to get there. But the other sailors discovered the escape and opened fire. The other survivor was killed, and Victor was severely wounded in the shoulder. When Manel and Victor finally reached shore, Manel immediately looked for a car to take Victor to the hospital. After finding a car, Manel drove to the hospital with the cat. Just as they arrived, a zombie suddenly jumped onto the car, causing Manel to lose control for a moment. Luckily, he managed to regain control and push back the approaching zombies. Once the immediate danger passed, Manel quickly got Victor inside the hospital. There, Victor asked Manel to remove the bullet from his shoulder. but Manal had no medical experience and didn't know how to safely remove the bullet. While searching for anesthetic, Manal heard people talking upstairs. Hoping someone could help treat Victor, Manal cautiously went upstairs, avoiding the zombies still roaming the hospital. Unfortunately, one zombie spotted him, attracting many others to chase after him. Soon after, Manal was cornered in a room. At this critical moment, a woman appeared and gestured for him to follow. After escaping the zombie horde, Manal asks a woman for help in rescuing Victor. She leads Manal and Victor to her hiding place. There, Manal meets Lucia, who isn't alone. She's accompanied by a doctor and 3 children. While the doctor is operating on Victor, Manal lets the children pet his cat, as they are very fond of his unusual companion. Later, Lucia announces that they have successfully removed the bullet from Victor's shoulder. Because Victor needs time to recover, Lucia invites Manal to stay with them until he is fully recovered. During this time, Manal asks Lucia about the hospital helicopter. Explaining that he has searched but couldn't find it, Lucia reveals that the helicopter is located in the isolation ward, which is now overrun by zombies. Initially, the helicopter was used to transport medical supplies, but the isolation center collapsed in just half a day as the zombie virus spread too quickly. Everyone from patients and doctors to soldiers was infected. The problem is that the helicopter is located in a different building within the hospital. Not only that, but without enough weapons, crossing through hundreds or thousands of zombies there was almost impossible. While waiting for Victor to recover, Manal recalled memories from the past. After a car accident, Julia had been treated in a room at this very hospital before she passed away. Currently, as Manal goes to the rooftop, he unexpectedly gets a phone signal and sees several videos his sister has sent. She has been constantly trying to contact him since the army began the evacuation operation. Knowing that he is still alive amidst the chaos, Manal feels incredibly grateful and moved. While Manal is trying to contact Belen, he suddenly hears gunfire from the Taliban searching the area. In a panic, Manal quickly urges Lucia to get to the helicopter before the Taliban find it. If the Taliban seize the helicopter, it will be their only chance to escape the zombie pandemic. On their way through the corridor connecting the buildings, they discover the corridor is on fire, making movement very difficult. When they open the door at the end of the corridor, a zombie suddenly appears and attacks Layla. Manal tries to save her, but it's too late. Era has already been bitten. Knowing she would eventually turn into a zombie, Era urged everyone to leave immediately before she became a danger to them. As they approached the helicopter landing zone, the group discovered it was overrun with zombies. They tried to move slowly, but the zombies still spotted them, separating Manal and a child from the rest of the group. Soon after, they heard gunfire from the Taliban clearing out zombies nearby. Once the area was temporarily safe, Manal quickly reunited with Lucia and the others. Upon reaching the helicopter landing zone, they found a horde of zombies blocking the entrance. Lacking weapons, they used an iron fence to form a circle around themselves and slowly moved through the zombies, hoping to avoid detection. Initially, the plan worked, but an accidental noise caused the zombies to rush in. Manal and the others had to fight to prevent the zombies from climbing over the fence. When they reached the gate, Lucia quickly unlocked it, guiding everyone to the helicopter. Meanwhile, Manal locked the gate behind them and fended off the zombies trying to climb over the fence. At that moment, Victor started the helicopter, but the Taliban also appeared, opening fire on the surrounding zombies. The Taliban captain ordered Victor out of the helicopter, threatening to shoot everyone if he didn't obey. With no other choice, Manal opened the second gate, causing a wave of zombies to pour in and attack the Taliban. While the Taliban were surrounded by zombies, Manal hid behind a fence watching the helicopter take off. He then fought his way through the remaining zombies and, with Lucia's help, finally climbed into the helicopter safely. Once airborne, Manal contacted Belen and told him they had a helicopter and were flying to the Canary Islands. But Belen panicked, warning him not to go, saying the zombie virus had already spread there. The Canary Islands had now become a zombie island. This news shocked everyone. They realized there was no safe place left. It seemed the whole of Europe had been taken over by the virus. Their only chance of survival now was to find a deserted island uninhabited by humans, where the virus hadn't yet spread. This movie is expected to have a sequel, so we'll have to wait for the release date. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.